everyone, welcome to today's episode of Expert Diaries. Today we have with us Nikki Elbus. So before introducing her, I'd like to say a few words about Expert Diaries to people who are new to it. So this is an initiative from the Zoho Campaigns team in order to connect avid email marketers to experts in email industry in order to learn best practices and tips from them. So basically, our aim is to build a strong community of email geeks and we can learn from each other. So that's about Expert Diaries. And today's episode is about holiday email marketing. And Nikki Elbus is here to walk us through the insights that she has gained through her journey in email marketing. So as an email marketer, we all know how busy the holiday season is. Planning an email campaign to moving ahead and sending an email campaign, there is a lot of things that comes in between. There will be a lot of doubts as in what should be done and what shouldn't be done. So Nikki is here with us to give insights about that. So I'll be introducing her to you right now. So if you have been following email industry for quite some time, you would definitely know her because she's been very active in the industry. So she's a very popular email strategist and a copywriter. She's previously worked as the head of email in Copy Hackers. And she's also owning a company called Nikki Elbus right now, where she'll help her clients to, send conversion-focused emails. And she's worked with brands like Shopify Plus, Sprout Social, Tailwind, and a lot of other brands, and she's helped them send over, thousands of emails, and she's dubbed as the queen of emails. So that's about her. Thank you so much, Nikki, for joining us today. I'm so excited to speak to you. So
sure, I'm blushing here.
Yeah. So do you have anything else to add to it, or can we move ahead?
Absolutely. I don't think I could add anything. That was amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
And I love this initiative. It's such a smart, beautiful initiative to build this community around all the questions that everyone has. And it's the questions that you put together are such good questions also that really are you could tell that you know your audience and care about what they're struggling with. So it's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yes. So when I was taking a look at your profile, I saw that you pursued advertising design and then you moved on to copywriting and then you slowly moved to email. So I would just I was very curious to know how the journey was for you. So from a designing industry to email marketing and being the owner of Nikki Elbus. So how was the journey? Could you please explain a bit about that to us?
Sure, yes. So I've always been very, very interested in marketing ever since I was a kid. It was always just completely fascinating for me. And I have so many memories of different conversations with my mom in the grocery store, just reading magazines, just definitely always been interested in marketing. But, as a kid, you're interested in a lot of things. I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a fashion designer. Maybe I'll be a brain surgeon. There's a lot. So I eventually decided on design, graphic design and advertising design. And I noticed that what I really, really enjoyed of the design was not the design, but the marketing behind it, the strategy behind it, all the, what's the ad trying to communicate. So I shifted to copywriting. But at that time, it didn't make sense to shift my whole degree because I had already gotten all the credits for advertising design. So I took a bunch of elective copywriting classes, but then just graduated as advertising design. And then, I started working for companies like an agency doing copywriting. And then as I went off on my own and started doing copywriting, I slowly noticed that email was the one true love, what I really, really enjoyed, what feels very impactful for companies, what I enjoy writing and strategizing and doing. So it's just this nice marriage of being able to have a lot of impact for my clients and also just enjoying the work.
Great. Yeah, so I think this will be an inspiring story for a lot of aspiring email marketers. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. So let me just get into the first question. So since this is about holiday email marketing, the first basic question that comes to our mind is that what are the main factors that you would consider before planning a holiday campaign?
Sure. So the first thing is take a deep breath because it's going to be hard. It's going to be long. Okay, so I think there's a few steps depending on how soon in advance you're planning. So the first basic foundational thing that you can do that will just help the entire process be easier and more effective is to start surveying and interviewing your customers. Just get a lot of qualitative data just to help inform the entire campaign. At the same time, if you could be diving into your previous emails, into just all your metrics that you have on site, and just building this database of a database of data. Look at that, just to help you inform your strategy. So getting all of that set up and running, that you have the data to help inform, is just going to make the whole entire process easier and obviously more effective because it's going to be really data driven. That though, you need a bit of luxury of time. So depending on how soon in advance you are starting, is going to dictate like how many interviews can you run. Do you have to cut the interviews and just work on surveys? Can you look at the email metrics? Can you look at GA? What do you have time for? So I would not skip this step at all, but I would, depending how much time you have, how deep you can go. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, again, another preparatory kind of step, which is to clean your list. Just make sure that your emails, that you get good deliverability during the holiday season. You want your emails hitting the inbox when it's a very, very busy time, and it's so easy to end up in spam. So cleaning it from a deliverability perspective, and also if you're running a re-engagement campaign and asking people, hey, do you still want our emails? And they're saying yes, you've kind of reignited the relationship, and they will then you're going to be more top of mind. You're going to be more emotionally, they're going to feel more emotionally connected to you as a brand. So they're going to be paying more attention to your emails, and they're going to feel better and more excited about your emails when it comes to the holiday, and they start seeing your name in their inbox more frequently with all of your holiday campaigns. So just from a deliverability technical perspective, and then also from like a reigniting the relationship perspective, you want to be cleaning your list and just kind of re-engaging all your contacts. And then finally, you want to start segmenting all your contacts. And if you haven't done it already, if you need to clean it up, just making sure that you can give really relevant campaigns to each segment of your audience. And saying, okay, so we have these 5 segments. So first of all, you want your segments to make sure that things become relevant, and that can also help dictate your strategy, because you'll see like, okay, we have this VIP segment. Oh, what should we offer them? Like, what do they deserve? Can we give them a 30%? Can we do it? Can we squeeze it? Okay, 25. Okay, so if they're getting 25, then that means that the just the previous customers or the new people, we can give them 25, maybe 20. Did I say 25? I don't remember. But it's gonna help you dictate your offer based on what segments you have, both because you want to make sure it's relevant to them, and also just because okay, here's all the different offers we have to put on the table. So you're setting up your segments so that your emails will be really effective, and also just to help you develop your strategy.
Yes.
Makes sense?
So yeah. So since you were talking about segments, nowadays we see a lot of marketers sending different type of content to different audience, and most of them, they target the location of their contacts. So what do you have to say about geo-targeting in email marketing? We've seen a lot of that. So what is your take on, how do you plan an email campaign using geo-targeting?
I love that you're tying the two together, because that's exactly what it is. Like, I look at geo-targeting as a tactic that falls under a strategy of relevance. So the whole idea of geo-targeting, why it's so effective and so amazing, is that it makes the email really relevant. I remember I got an email this is like the most memorable email I've ever gotten, from Nugs, which is an alternative chicken nugget product. And the subject line was, Michigan, are you ready? I'm from Michigan. And I read that, I was like, what's going on in Michigan? Like, what's happening? You know, like, I need to open this, I need to see. And like, there was emotion there. When I read that subject line, I was feeling something. And that is like the number one thing that you want to do to your subscribers, is to get them to feel. So that was very effective. And I was excited. I was like, I was curious. I was excited. You know, I opened the email and it said, nugs are now in Plum Market. So that was so relevant, because that's a store that I shop in. That's a store. It's not like get nugs in your grocery store. Now we're in your local grocery store. It was, they're in Plum Market. It was so vivid and illustrative and relevant, because I could see myself next time I'm in Plum Market. Oh, there they are, you know? So it was just a very, very memorable email. It was a very emotional email, because it had this relevance based on geo-targeting. If you have just a few products, and they're not something that will make a difference depending on the location, you know, they're not something that you can use in a certain climate, they're not something that's going to make a difference, you know, all your audience is in the same basic country, you'll have to find something else that will prove that relevance in your emails. Geolocation is not going to give that like spark of, wow, this is really relevant for me. But if you are, you know, you're targeting people in Australia and in America, that's something that's a huge difference, because under the equator, they are, you know, they're experiencing the holidays in the sun with flip-flops and the beach. And over the equator, it's, you know, it's snow and you know, all the like traditional holiday kind of things. So, you know, whereas you will see a lot of the traditional cold climate sort of holiday geared things to Australia and those areas, it's become normal for them, and it's become like kind of a seasonal sort of thing. So it's fine. But imagine that joy when they'll see like, oh, they get me. They understand, like, this is really what I'm experiencing, not just like, oh, what I'm hearing about. So anytime that you can delight your audience like that and give them that relevance, just first of all, from a delight perspective, and then if you have specifically things that actually make a technical difference, like if your shipping times are going to be different based on locations, you know, even shipping prices, if your product can be used differently in different climates. Like, for example, let's say you are a beauty space, right? So again, back to the different climate, you know, you don't want to be talking about warm scents, let's say, like, you know, warm vanilla sugar. Like, if you can start giving more of your summer scents to, you know, the areas that are experiencing summer, just thinking about what the different audiences are experiencing, and providing the content that will be relevant and interesting for them, that's a great use of geolocation.
So basically, it's like awakening a curiosity in the subscriber's mind by telling them about something special about their location, or something on that line. Yes. So,
as well as meeting their needs based on where their location is as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when do you recommend sending first holiday email campaign? Because as you said, there will be a difference in season, and there might be warm places, cold places. So how do you decide that, and how do you when should you plan on sending an email campaign?
Yeah, another particular example is a lot of companies will start on Veterans Day, which, if you're targeting European countries, you know, like, what's Veterans Day? So yeah, exactly, definitely thinking about the location of your subscribers, and also thinking a lot about what you can handle in terms of sales. So one company that I saw last year, they did a really unique thing where I don't remember if it was the end of October or the beginning of November. I think it was even the end of October, because a lot of companies will start at the beginning of November. They sent out an email saying, don't buy on our Black Friday sale. If you're smart, you will buy now, because we are giving a better, bigger sale now. So let's say we're doing 20% off now. Our Black Friday sale is going to be 15% off. It's not going to be as good. Buy now. We promise you it's better now. Buy now. And they were doing this to handle the shipping delays. So that was a very smart strategy to push their Black Friday sale early. First of all, because they didn't have to deal with the craziness of, you know, competing with all the other companies that were trying to ship out their stuff all at the same time. The carriers were all backlogged. So shipping out early October or end of October, early November was so much easier for them. They had so much less headache to deal with. So that was a smart strategy on that end. It was also really smart because it was much more of a blue ocean at that time. There were so many fewer companies that were promoting all their sales. They didn't have to. You don't have the price shopping aspect. You didn't have the distraction of all the other companies. So it was just a beautiful time for them to be like, hey, let's do a really, really good sale. And that dedicated audience that's on the email list got that amazing sale. And they still ran the Black Friday sale, but it was probably lower volumes. They didn't have to deal with the shipping. And, anyone who was kind of thinking about it, coming in later into it, less loyal, needed more time anyway, and needed that Black Friday rush anyway to get there. So that's one option. Although if everyone starts to do it, then it's just, pushing Black Friday earlier. But, really, it really depends a lot on your capacity and your bandwidth. If you're starting on November 1st, what is going to keep that excitement going all the way until Black Friday? Is it because, all the way from November 1st to the 15th is you're just doing like teases and pre-sales, and just kind of, getting people excited about it? That's a strategy you could do. Maybe you have a different offer every week of the month. So that's something that keeps people excited. And it's also perfectly valid to only have a flash sale on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, anything in that actual window as well. So it's really about what you want to handle as a brand, as well, of course, as what your customers are expecting. But it's hard to know what they want and what they're expecting. If you know that they do really well with flash sales, or if you know that they do really well with waitlisting, and pre-launching and that kind of thing, that's going to help inform what kind of sale you want to be doing. But really, because the holiday time is so stressful and there's so many pieces and you have to be playing with so many different things, you want to be making your sale window what will be the easiest for you.
We're telling about a particular email that got your attention and the subject line with the name of your place. So is that one particular thing that excites you, or is there anything else that excites you in an email campaign? So if you're receiving an email campaign, what is the one thing that attracts you the most?
Me the most? I like curiosity subject lines a lot. I love when the question is not answered. There's a question in my mind from reading that subject line, and I'm just like, okay, now what? What's I have to click in and see. So either something that's like a total pattern interrupt. I've never seen anything like this from this brand. Something that just leaves me with a question. Something that, just there's a lot of word little tricks you could use, like using the word this. So what are you saying when you're saying this? You're not defining what this is. So that's, definitely a very easy hack to make something a curiosity subject line. But those are my favorite. I definitely default to using them because I find them definitely the most intriguing in my inbox as well.
Okay. So, and I've also read a post from an article of yours where you were saying that the subject line, the sender name, and the pre-header is the most. These are the most important factors that people should consider while sending out an email campaign. So, do you have any particular tips for for creating these subject name, pre-header, and the sender name?
So yes, but those three things are the most important thing for getting the open. And many people forget about the sender name, where it's just the subject line and the preview text, or just the subject line. And the sender name is actually more important than your subject line, because if you get an email from your mom that just has a question mark, or says take the garbage out, or something, that's not exciting, something that is, it doesn't make any sense, or something that doesn't interest you, you're going to open it anyway because it's from your mom, right? So that applies to brands as well. We have a relationship between the brands and the customers and the subscribers, that the sender name, it doesn't matter what the subject line is, if they are excited about emails from your company, they're going to open regardless of what the subject line is. So that's a lot of work, and it's going to, that's much more than holidays. But you can take part of your pre-planning effort to build up that excitement about your brand and to build up that, generate that kind of relationship pre-holiday, so that your sender name does that. You'll also see a lot of holiday sender names where it's like, Kohl's Black Friday, or HP Black Friday, or where it's just very easy for people to see like, oh, this is a Black Friday email. Particularly around the holidays, we all know, the subject line, like inboxes are flooded. So yeah, making that really clear that this is a Black Friday email, this is exciting. That can be a really smart tactic to just, when they're skimming, like, oh, Black Friday sale. Okay, cool, I'm clicking here. Another interesting thing with preview text is a lot of times you'll see a curiosity subject line, but then the preview text will give away what that like curiosity was aiming for. So let's say like, super, open for super secret savings, right? And then the preview text says 20% off. So now so you don't have to click inside the email to see, because you already know. So there's nothing wrong with not being curious. So that's not to say that you can't talk about more blunt things, that you can't, say 20% off in a subject line. You absolutely can. You don't have to only use curiosity subject lines. But if you are using curiosity subject lines, then you don't want to give everything away in the preview text. So that's just something to think about. But just in general, when you're crafting the emails, the subject lines, the preview text for holiday, the one thing you should be focusing on, the one thing that you should be having in your brain, that you should just be like top of mind kind of thing, is people's inboxes are crazy crowded. We know this. We totally know this. But beyond just trying to stand out, which obviously you're trying to do, is also just like knowing that reality. How can you step into their shoes, and how can you experience that? So that's one like really, really unique email that I saw, although I saw it about 4 times last year. So I think somebody did it, and then a bunch of marketers were like, okay, let's add this into our campaign. It was an emoji pointing up and an emoji pointing down, and in between the 2 emojis was a subject line, and each of the subject lines were something like, ignore these emails, or these sales are not as good as the sales in this email. So it was just such a unique way to show, like, we know what you're dealing with. We know you're trying to like figure out the overwhelm, all the distraction, everything, like, here, focus in on here. This is the best. So I don't know if you should use that strategy, because it might be like 20 people using it next year, or this year. But just that idea of getting into the headspace and understanding, okay, this is what their reality is. We want to help them focus. We want to help them understand that this is where they should be focusing. That's just gonna, like, getting in that headspace is gonna help you craft your lines.
Yes. So you already spoke about the emojis, using emojis in the subject line. And so what is your opinion about using images or GIFs in email content? So as you said before, you received that emails 4 times in a row. So do you think if they had used another image or another GIF at that point of time, would you have been more interested? So what is your take on using emojis, GIFs, and images in email content?
They're definitely a way to keep things interesting and engaging and different. And yeah, it does add a little bit of uniqueness. Whereas, if you know that everybody is going to be using that red sail, like the red flashing sail emoji, that's a very popular one. So like, what if you do like a blue ocean or a palm tree? Like, what? Like, that stands out a little bit. And then as well as, images in the actual email, videos, all those kinds of things. Like, it's another way to engage your users. Obviously they have to make sense for your audience, for the email, but yeah, they're fun, especially GIFs that are brand made. So for example, let's say, you have your product, and then it's, just the flashing text of what makes your product awesome. That's a way to really pack in a lot of information in a short email. So it could just be like a really quick email that's like, 20% off starts now. But then, you can have like no fillers, all vitamins, and it doesn't take up a lot of mental space. It doesn't take up a lot of actual physical space. But it's very engaging, and it's just like a nice way to stuff things in. The only thing to think about with video is that, of course, you can't embed video into email. So you want to make sure that you're driving to a landing page that, yes, has the video where they can watch, but then has other abilities to get conversion. So, don't drive them to YouTube. Don't drive them to just a static video page with nothing else on it. You want to make sure you're driving them to the video. Yes, they want to be watching it, but that the rest of the page allows them to convert. It allows them to shop and buy and continue that customer journey.
Okay. So, when we were beginning the interview, you were speaking about re-engagement emails. So, what is your take on that? So, consider sending win-back emails, because sometimes when there is an email in our inbox, we'll be like, okay, it's been so long that I've not been following them, and they're sending an email, particularly during this holiday time. So there are people who consider it as, a very, really bad thing. And there will be people who would be very much inspired from their content, or they would see the subject in clicking it and reading about it. So do you think win-back email is something that that email marketers can try during holiday email marketing? If so, what would be some of the, content and design related tips that you have for them?
Sure, yeah. So what works so nicely about win-backs during holidays is that from the email marketer side, it's such a great gauge of knowing whether this subscriber is going to be a healthy, long-term, good subscriber or not. Because if you're sending them the holiday offers that are probably your best offers throughout the entire year, and they're not converting, then they probably won't convert ever, because if you're giving them your best and they're not taking it. So from an email perspective, like from the marketer side, it's a no-brainer to do a win back during the holidays. But yes, from the customer side, they're overwhelmed by so many emails. And even just, okay, let's pretend that they don't get annoyed by your emails, right? Just they're going to be shopping for the brands that they're comfortable with, that they're loyal to, that they are, just more used to. Like, it's just when you have so many decisions and so much overwhelm, you just default to what you're used to doing. So it's this funny balance of like, okay, it's a great time to do it. Okay, maybe it's not such a great time to do it. So the best thing to do in these kind of situations is to address the fact that this could be a weird time for them, So I was working on one client who, they had one SKU, and it was a product that was the type of product that you needed to do a lot of research about, and you only bought one, like every 10 years, right? Maybe you bought like a secondary one, but it was really, it was like a one-time kind of thing. So instead of just sending them holiday emails, we sent the disengaged subscribers, we sent them, the first touch was like, hey, did you buy one already? And if you didn't, do you have anything stopping us? Like stopping you, can we help you with the decision? Can we help you with your research? So it opened up that conversation, so they didn't feel annoyed or overwhelmed or anything like that. And it helped them continue the journey, like the customer journey from research to actually buying. As well as then, so after that little mini series of, that kind of like win back-ish, did you not? We then defaulted them into, if they didn't respond, we then defaulted them into, okay, here's how you can, get a secondary one. The offer was about more of the secondary product versus the primary product. So it just matched their reality of a disengaged subscriber. Instead of just throwing them the same thing that everyone else got, it was following what they were experiencing, which then can lead to higher conversions. So addressing that kind of thing, making your content talk about the fact that like, and not just like, hey, we noticed you haven't bought in a while, because that doesn't do anything for anyone. If the worst it can do is make them feel guilty, the best it can do, like, okay, it's a little relevant-ish. But what you want to do is like, oh, we see you haven't bought. Is it because, X? Is it because Y? Do you want to try this version? Did you know that we have a free trial? Do you know, just helping them through that objection instead of just, reminding them that they haven't bought. So yeah, definitely try and win back because it's a good time. Yes, but make the content around what their journey is. Another, by the way, interesting thing is to run a secondary win back in like January, February time. First of all, just because it's kind of like slump season, you're just kind of recovering from the holidays. But also because if they missed it with that overwhelm, then you're kind of giving them another chance where they're familiar again, they're getting the emails again. But it's just that like secondary, like, okay, we're not overwhelmed as much. Yeah.
Yes. So right now we spoke about the strategy part of emails, and then we spoke about the content and about the design. So I know these three are important, but what do you consider as the most important factor, or what should an email marketer give more focus to when they are planning on an email marketing campaign? Is it the strategy, or is it the content, or is it the design? So how is it? So what do you think about it?
There's like no question. It is strategy, 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 strategy. All like everything we've been discussing until now is like, well, if it's this, then do that, and make sure you do this, and based on the strategy and based on your audience and based on your location, like it's just the strategy is going to dictate absolutely everything. You can have the most beautifully crafted email that is so clear and unique and enticing for people, but if it doesn't make any sense for who it's targeting, for the offer, for any of those things, it's not going to convert. Actually, I'm thinking about a brand right now that their emails are so unique and so interesting. Like they're really, I open them and I read them because they're so interesting. I mean, I read every email just because like they're interesting for me. They help me grow. Yeah. But I don't get them. The strategy doesn't make sense for me. So that I'm not going to take any further action aside from reading them. So yeah, 1,000% strategy.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. But before winding up, I just have one more question to you. So do you have any personal favorite brands that do email marketing perfectly? So holiday email campaigns in particular. So if you have any of your personal favorite brands, can you name them for us, for our
Sure.
Audience? Yeah.
Yes, I get so many emails. I love studying them all. So I actually mentioned them previously, the ones that did the early Black Friday sale. That was Supply. They sell single edge razors. I don't have facial hair, and I'm still reading every single one of their emails because they do it so well. They do a few things really well. First of all, they're just really nice looking. They're well designed, which is just a basic foundational good thing. They're very smart and strategic. So a lot of the emails they have stories to them. They have angles. They help people through the journey. So it's not just like, hey, here's our sale. Here's our sale. Here's why you should shop. Or, here's something awesome about us. And hey, we're running a sale. So they really, really help people convert because they're data driven. They have great copy that just helps persuade people forward, as well as they're very founder focused. So you really feel like you have a connection with the brand. So every so often there'll just be like an email from the founder, where he's just, talking about, let's say at one point he had a Father's Day email where he was talking about his struggles with infertility. And it just creates that connection with the brand. But they don't lose that, where sometimes you'll see just too much content and not enough conversion, and that doesn't work from the brand side. So they have like a really nice balance there. And they're just very human in terms of, that Black Friday early sale. That email was just so straight talk. It was just like, here's what's happening, here's what we're doing, here's what you should do. So it just worked out very nicely. And I don't know, they had an apology email one time where, they messed up the sale. So they just, said like, hey, okay, whoops, we messed up. And it wasn't like a fake, we messed up, it was just so they feel real and authentic, and like you can trust them. So they're just doing a really, really great job.
Yes. So I think that's all we have time for today. So thank you so much, Nikki, for joining us. I was really happy to host this session. It was really good. Thank you so much. And yeah.
Sure. I had fun. You could tell I could talk about this stuff forever.
It's really interesting to hear whatever you had to say, and I'm sure that this will help a lot of email marketers to plan their holiday email campaigns.